Hello, everyone. Hope you all are doing good, staying safe, and liking our content till now. This is your Sejal Agarwal, your host for the session, and I welcome you all to the first episode of House of Finance, the questions of investment. So, our mentor for the session is Ms. Deepthi Khandelwal, a certified financial planner, a mutual fund advisor, and owner of KS Investments. Welcome to our show, Deepthi.
Thank you, Sejal.
So, Deepthi, tell us about your journey, your experience till now in this industry.
Okay. Hello, friends. As Sejal already introduced me, see, guys, talking about my journey, I am having 8 years plus experience in mutual fund distribution business. And since last 5 years, I am certified financial planner. When I met with clients, met so many people and understood their financial situations, what problems they faced, I realized two major things in this industry, what happens, what people are doing with their money. First is that people are having lot of money with them. They are having, they do investments. In our culture, the investment and saving culture is there. People do that thing. But the problem lies where the problem lies is that people are very poor with their investment choices. They don't understand that for creating the wealth, what are the right measures we should take. Yes, we are doing hard work, we are saving every penny we could save, but then investing those money in the right place is very important for a good wealth creation, and this is where most of people lack. Second thing that I realized across this industry is that there is huge level of mis-selling in financial instruments. Products are being sold in name of some other product. For example, you are being sold insurance in the name of mutual funds, and this list goes on and on. I meet every other person who says, no, I am having mutual fund, and then when I study the policy document, it comes out to be insurance and not the mutual fund. So people are basically unaware. As a buyer, we are ignorant, and as a seller, people are more and more interested in simply making more money. No one is concerned about goal-based investing and directing and guiding people in the right direction. So that's where my vision developed, and I thought that I want to educate as many people as possible, youngsters, educating more women, and people have to be aware about where we are going with our money. We just cannot leave this responsibility to someone else. So that was my vision, and this thing helped me to motivate myself, inspire myself, and then move ahead. That's the reason I am on this show even with you all.
Thank you so much, Deepthi. This is very insightful for us, and it's our pleasure to learn from you. So, Deepthi, many of us are newbies here. We have never invested. So, biggest question and biggest hindrance for all of us is how do we start? Like, where do we start from? We cannot just go in the market and invest a big amount of money on shares, or I don't know. That is a big hindrance for me as well. When I started, I also faced a lot of problem in that.
See, the major thing we do or we start with, we directly ask, okay, I am having this money, where should I invest, or which is the best instrument. But we need to understand one thing over here, that before jumping directly to investment, there are few baby steps we need to understand and take. Like, first of all, we have to understand nature of our income. Like, whatever we are earning, is it regular, consistently? Are you earning that income? Is the salary level, whatever you are earning from your business, maybe from your job, anywhere, is it consistently coming to your bank account every month? Okay, so nature of your income is first thing that you have to take care about. Then second things come expenses. What kind of spending habit you are having for yourself? Like, are you very conservative when it comes to money, or are you a person who loves spending so much of money, whatever there is in your wallet, you love spending that money? What is that something, people, some people are like having the habit of accumulating things with them and not using them. They do excess of spendings. So when you understand these two basic things, like what income you are having, what are the sources, and how regularly, frequently frequently you get this income, and second, how you manage your expenses well. Once you understand what are your necessary expenses, what are the discretionary expenses that you keep on spending money on, you understand, okay, now I can take out this particular amount for investment. This is something that I don't utilize every month, and this is something I can go for investing in. And from there this journey begins. Initially, even if you are able to save 1,000 or 2,000 rupees per month from your complete earnings, it's a great step. And then once you realize 3 to 6 months continuously, when you manage and see your income and expenses, and you realize where you are right and doing right steps, and you realize, okay, this is the steps where I am lacking, these are the areas where I am spending excess of money, you slowly become disciplined yourself. And then you figure out, okay, this is the amount I have to save per month for my savings and for my goals. And then we go to the investment process, where we decide, okay, this is the product we should be buying for investment. And initially, as a beginner, you don't have to complicate and go for many products. Simply start with 1 or 2 mutual fund SIPs. At the very basic level, this is the best thing you can do for your investment, because you are having a lot of time with you. You are not having much of responsibilities when you are young. So you can give your investments an equity exposure, and you can start single SIP or 1 or 2 SIPs for your investments. That's what I would recommend as a beginner.
So Deepti, yes, as you said that we should evaluate our income and expenses. That is fine. But my next question would be for you to tell us, like, how should we divide that saving in our different asset classes? Like, even if we take out some money for investing, say $1,000, so where do we invest that? Different types of asset classes are available: equity, mutual funds. What should we do with that?
Okay, fine. See, when you start investing early and you just started earning and you are thinking of investing, at that time, we don't have to think about diversification, because you are not having so much fun with you that you will be going with different asset classes like equity and debt and fixed return instrument. No, at that time, we can simply start with one simple product we understand. We don't have to complicate things. But yes, after some time, when you are earning a decent amount of money, when you want to grow your investment corpus, when you want to diversify and you are investing good amount of money, at that time we think of proper diversification of portfolio. See, according to me, the best thing what you can do is, first of all, having few good mutual funds in your list, so that they are based on the goals, different goals you are having for long term and medium terms. For that, equity mutual fund is very good thing. Secondly, you could have few, let's say around 8 to 10 stocks in your portfolio. In that thing also, you don't have to complicate that stuff. Take 8 to 10 good blue chip stocks, invest whenever the market gives opportunities. Whenever market fell, you invest more and more money for wealth creation. So that part comes under wealth creation. Then there are few goals of ours that come under, short term and medium term. Like in near 2 to 3 years, you want to accumulate the money for the same. You cannot invest that money into stocks or mutual funds, equity mutual funds. Reason being that they are highly risky and volatile in the short term. So for these kind of goals, for these short term goals, what you do is you invest your money into fixed return instrument like debt funds or your bank FDs or the government bonds, anything like that. And as an Indian, we also love, investment in golds. So for gold, you can choose, no need of going into physical gold product of physical gold. You can simply go for buying bonds or gold ETFs or mutual funds. There are many digital means for investing in gold as of now, so you can choose all this thing, combine all this as per your age requirement. Like, see, when you are young, you are having less of responsibility on yourself, you are having less of loans and everything. So at that time, you can maximize your exposure towards equity side. When slowly in the mid 30s, 35 and 40, when you are having responsibility of your kids, maybe your elderly parents, slowly you are getting all these responsibilities. At that time, you have to balance your portfolio between equity and debt. And when you are near retirement and retiring, at that time, you have to shift most of your portfolio in the debt side and have the least exposure towards equity. This is how we diversify the portfolio.
Okay, Deepti, that was really insightful. My another question is that something is very ignored while planning. That is emergency funds. So how much should we keep as our emergency funds, and like what should we keep it in? Like what should be the instruments? What are the instruments that in which we can keep our emergency funds in?
Okay, Sejal. See, this is very good question because many people either they keep excessive of the funds with them in the name of emergency, like if any situation occurs, what we would be doing. So there are many people I have seen, they keep, like 5 lakh or 3 lakhs or 1 lakh in their savings account, or maybe in the form of cash, because they are not aware that how much reserves they have to keep as an emergency. Now here the question arises, like what amount? So see, first of all, it depends on different life situation. For example, you are living normal life, near future there is no life changes going to happen in your life as certain as you are about. So in that case, what we can do, we can simply take 6 months of our expenses. So take your monthly expense, multiply it by 6. That amount can be kept as emergency fund. But if in near future, for example, you are thinking of going to foreign, settle in some place another, and there can be, job change or anything, for that you need to have a bigger buffer amount for yourself. So from 6 months to 2 years, anything in between can be kept as emergency funds, so that if in any case any situation changes, you are not stopping your existing investments. Nothing is affected, and you are already having the surplus with you, and you can keep these funds either in, if you don't understand any instrument product, you don't want to complicate things, you can simply keep it in savings account, or else bank FD is the good option, but it should not have the longer lock-ins, remember this thing. But the best thing best place where you should keep your emergency funds are debt mutual funds. The short-term debt mutual fund, liquid or overnight category, is good enough for keeping your liquid funds.
Okay. One more thing, Deepti, like many people tend to confuse between insurance and investment, and they tend to mix their funds for insurance and investment. So, what is your say about it?
We need to understand this thing, that insurance is never an investment. If you combine these two products, neither you get sufficient of insurance and nor the investment. See, these two products have different objective. Why they are in the markets, they are having different reasons, but people tend to forget that simply because we look for, okay, even we are getting 3 to 4% returns, we are satisfied with that. But this is something that should not be done. This is biggest blunder in the world of finance, what we do in our daily lives. Let me explain you how does why does it make a difference. When we talk about insurance, what it is insurance all about? Insurance is simply all about protecting your family in case any emergency occurs. So when we talk about life insurance, what it is all about, like if you are the breadwinner of the family and your complete family is dependent on your finances, everyone is dependent on your income, and if something happens to you, your life, and for example, if an accident happened and you are no more, then what will happen to your family? How will they survive the finances? Who will take care of those finances? For this, we do life insurance. And when you take the life insurance of just say 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 15 lakh, that's not enough, because once you are gone, company will be paying you 10 lakhs. And in today's time, maximum of 2 years we can take out in 10 lakhs rupees. So if you want to get your family genuinely and completely insured, you have to go for term insurance. Term insurance is the product where they provide you with minimum of 50 lakhs, 1 crore, 2 crores of the sum assured. There you will be protecting your family actually financially. How? Let's say if you are if there is some uncertainty and you are no more, and your family get 1 crore rupees into fixed deposit, then they will be getting around 7 lakh rupees, and that is enough for monthly investment, for monthly savings as well as their expenses. That stuff is enough. Talking about wealth creation, on the other hand, talking about investment, when you invest in these old traditional insurance products like endowment plans, like money back policies, what happens, you get an average return of 4 to 5% maximum, on the maximum end. But when you invest in the wealth creation product like mutual fund, you get on an average of 12 to 15%. So why not go for term insurance, which have lesser of premium, more sum assured, higher, they cover you for long time till up to 85 to 90 years. Some plans are covering you like that as well. And by the remaining amount, you simply invest them in wealth creation products like mutual fund and grow your money from that. That's
So,
from my end, Sejal.
like, Deepti, just one question. Like, can we replace insurance scheme for 10 years with FD for 10 years? Like, is there an option like that?
See,
Something.
Sejal, we cannot compare these two options. Reason being, insurance is something that you require for protection of your family. You give financial security to your family in case you are not there. And FD is an investment product. See, FD will deliver you 5 to 6% return, no doubt in that. But what if when the breadwinner of the family is no more, how the family will be able to, get the regular expenses, how they will be able to meet those regular expenses, who would fund that expenses? So insurance company fund that expenses, and therefore we need to keep it separate. If we combine these two things, you will be getting less of returns, and this is what old traditional policy does. But maximum of the people, even your banker, even your LIC agent, everyone would sell you this product, and no one would tell you its cons. Reason being, there are high commission products. No one generally talks about it. If you even invest 100 rupees into a LIC insurance product, if you give them, out of this 30 to 35 rupees goes directly to the agent pocket, and that does not make sense, and you don't even know what is happening to your money. After that, there are many expenses, many charges that will be charged from your money, and that rest 40 to 50 rupees will be invested. Out of this, you will be getting insurance cover as well as little bit return of 3 to 4%. That's how these products work. Therefore, term plan of the best things in the market as of now, in the case of insurance, life insurance.
Okay. So Deepti, that was really insightful. One more thing, like during the pandemic, many people showed their interest in equity markets and started investing in equity markets randomly. And you are a mutual fund advisor. So, like, what do you have to say that between equity and mutual funds, what is better? What do you recommend? Or is there any comparison between two?
Okay. Sejal, just because I am mutual fund distributor, this is not the reason why I'm favoring mutual fund or why I say that you should go for mutual fund. No, never. Before that, I am a certified financial planner, and my duty is to guide youngsters in the right way. So see, in the last some time, especially talking about last 8-9 months, stock markets have delivered amazing returns to investors. In fact, I get many queries from youngsters. People are 18 and 19 years old, and they are saying, can you guide us just about few good stocks where we should invest? This is how people are going towards investing in the stock market. See, what happens is, it's so good when we see this person got this return into this particular stock, and this IPO delivered you an amazing return. Everything is good. But what happens when the market crash? The market will crash and you are not much aware about the market. In that situation, you will lose more money than you have earned in this whole tenure. And people need to understand this. See, in every instrument product, every product we invest, there is a systematic way going towards that product. And in stocks, people literally believe in the advices of either, CNBC Awaaz. They would open it, they would be recommending few stocks, and people will randomly invest. Or what happens in the market generally is that if I am an expert in something, you will simply ask, okay, recommend me few stocks and I will be investing. What happens in this thing is, maybe I am recommending you the good stock. Maybe according to me, this is one of the best stock. But today we are, meeting with each other. Today I am talking to you. What happens if tomorrow in the market, some news come, and because I am aware of the things, I am aware of the fundamentals and technicals, then I may withdraw from that stock, I may exit, but you are unaware. For tomorrow, we are not going to meet again, right? So in that case, your money will be stuck. You may be in losses. And similar things happen when we, copy some big person, like we see, okay, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala has invested in this particular stock, so even I should invest. We never know what is the risk appetite of that particular person, what is the purpose of investing, why he is investing, and for what amount he is investing. and what is his risk taking ability. As a youngster, if you are having, let's say, 5,000 rupees and you simply invested in one stock, and if tomorrow that stock does not go up, you will panic because you don't understand how equity market works. And then what will happen? You will withdraw your money in between in losses. So that is my major concern these days. Like, youngsters are just going, and here I would like to say a thing: half knowledge is more harmful than having no knowledge, because if you are ignorant, you won't be going to that product. But if you are having half knowledge, and if you think that that's the right thing to do, then definitely you will try something and you will lose your money. Yes, you can experiment, but with very little money, with keeping safety at your hand, understanding the risk associated with the product. On the other hand, if we talk about mutual fund, Sejal, in that case, what happens is, first of all, your money is with experts. You simply give, for example, 1,000 or 5,000 rupees to a mutual fund company, which hand overs that money to a fund manager. That person on our behalf take the decision whether this money should be invested in stock A or stock B or stock C, and when we have to withdraw that money. So there you get a professional advice. A professional is taking care of your money, and their main purpose is, whatever the benchmark is delivering, they want to deliver further return, more return than that particular thing. Along with that, you are having liquidity. If you go for SIP, systematic investment plan, you are having disciplined way of investing. So these are the things why I recommend go for mutual fund. And it's only take stocks if either you understand the fundamentals of the company, or else you are having some person who genuinely can guide you without just getting random advices from them. And best way for doing so is by paying a little fees to a person who is professional in this field. Pay them the fees, ask them genuine advice, because then they will take care of the portfolio. That's the thing. That's how you can go for stocks, or simply go for insurance.
So, Deepti, you know that mutual funds are subject to market risk. That is the most popular line under every mutual fund. So, what do you have to say about that? Because
Yes.
stocks also have risk, mutual funds also have risk. So, why don't we get to stock and eliminate the middle party?
Okay, fine. See, as I said, that mutual fund, here your money is in the hand of a professional. In a stock, what happens? See, if you are having 5,000 rupees, you buy a stock. If you want to buy a stock of good company, you will just get one or two stocks of that. And when the stock goes down, your money went down. But in mutual fund, what happens is, in even 1,000 rupees, you get the combination of 40 to 50 top class companies. And there, even if 10 stocks fell, your portfolio still isn't positive, you're showing in green colors. So first thing is this, that your money is diversified among many stocks and maybe different sectors, depends on the mutual fund scheme you are investing in. Secondly, it is handled by professional. Here, you either you will use your brain, because in stocks, either you will take tips from people or you will invest yourself randomly. So there are high chances that you will be losing your money, because you don't know if you are investing in the right company. Is it worth investing? These are the things I say that yes, you should go for stocks. And see, there is risk in investing and there is risk not to invest. You have to decide what you have to choose, because yes, mutual funds are risky, you understand this thing, but stocks are extremely risky. And when we talk about fixed return instruments like FDs and PPF, even they have the risk. Interest rate risks are still there with them. They keep on, interest keep on getting down quarter on quarter. And in long term, when you see, you will understand that yes, 10 years ago the PPF or FD were giving you 9 to 10% return, but in present times they are giving you 6 to 7% returns. So even their risk is there. But yes, SEBI is doing amazing stuff by making people aware that yes, there is risk associated in mutual funds, and therefore you have to be aware of that risk. You don't have to be afraid of it. You should understand it, and then you should invest in it.
So you are aware about the inflation, right, Deepti? So
Yes.
what kind of instrument should we go for to avoid instruments? Because many of the fixed returns aren't able to fix deposit instruments aren't able to give us enough for covering our inflation as well. So that is a big problem, right?
Exactly. This is why that we should not keep most of our portfolio into the fixed return instrument, especially when you are young. See, when we are young, our main purpose is for creation of wealth, for meeting our all the long term goals we want to live the desired life we dream of. For that we need huge amount of wealth, and this so-called inflation, I simply term it as the monster that eats out your money. You think that you're investing. When people say, yes, I am having FD, I'm investing my 10 lakh in FD every year, what are you doing is, if the inflation is 7% and your FD return is 5.5 or 6%, you are actually losing the money. This is something we need to understand. If you keep most of your money into saving account, it's just delivering you 3.5 to 4% return. And when in the economy we see every year, if you take the average inflation of 6%, you are earning less than what you are spending, and how your money is decreasing in its value. And therefore, we have the products like equity mutual funds and the stock markets. So understand the risk associated to these things, understand how they work. Once you are fine with how the market goes ups and down, then simply you can invest major portion when you are young into these kind of products like equities and stocks. But understand this before investing. That's what I would say.
So in that, I would like to conclude that basically financial literacy is most for everyone. Like knowing your product,
Yes.
knowing your instrument is very important for all of us.
Have to see, no matter if you are having professionals with you, if you are having very good people around you, still you need to be aware of what you are putting your money into, what it will be delivering you after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You have to get the rough idea about this, where you are going with your money.
Deepti, one more thing, like basically, like that a lot portion of our income goes in tax. So, what do you have to say about that? What are suggest us some instruments so that we can save some tax?
Okay. See, if we talk about Section 80C, you get the rebate of 1.5 lakhs. For that thing, first and the best instrument you are having for saving taxes are ELSs, that are equity linked saving schemes. They are part of mutual funds. And why I'm saying they are best, because first of all, you get good returns. You are investing your money into equities part, and you are able to create wealth on that product. Secondly, they are having least locking them, from just 3 years locking they have. And when we talk about different instruments like PPF, they are having 15 years locking. NPS, they go till retirement. When we talk about FD, they are 5 years. But first thing that why I suggest ELSS funds are because of their returns. Second thing, if you don't want to go for this so much equity exposure, then you can go for NPS in case you want additional 50,000 rebate. But remember that it has the long lock-in. Before retirement, you cannot withdraw the money. And even after retirement, what you will get, some part in the form of pension and the remaining amount as lump sum. So you have to keep in mind if you invest in NPS. Third thing, for short tenure, if you want to lock your money, you can go for tax saving FD, 5 year. It has the 5 year lock-in, but the returns are very low over there. Yes, you get stable returns, but around 5.5 to 6% is average return per annum that you will be getting on them. So these are the top 3 instruments. Again, some people believe in investing in life insurance policies that I've already explained to you why you should not, mix these two, investment and insurance product. Along with that, many people invest in ULIPs. So ULIPs are actually becoming really cheap these days. Still, there are many hidden charges. So first, understand the charges, read the documents carefully, and then you can go even for ULIPs investments.
Okay, Deepti, that was really insightful to know some tax saving instruments. Now I would like to open the forum for all our audience. If you guys want to ask something, in chat box, I see a message from Anvesh Singh. That is, what about PPF? So you want to answer that?
Yes. See guys, PPF no doubt are good instrument, but first they are having, because they go into the stable return products, they are having least return. They are having less return, I will say. Around 7% is something you are getting in PPF. But the problem with PPF is you are having a long lock-in for that product. So when you are thinking of, going for tax saving, you can invest some part of your money. What you want to invest into fixed return instrument, you don't have to take much risk on that money. You can can invest that part in PPF, that's cool. But remaining part, you can go for mutual fund, because in mutual fund, you can get an average return of 12 to 15% per annum. That in no way can beat the PPF return. So, sorry, that in no way PPF can beat this mutual fund return. So we need to understand this, and then we can go ahead. So keep little part into PPF, and rest you can invest into wealth creation product like mutual funds.
There's another question on my chat box, that is sovereign gold bonds. So
yes. See, this is one of the best instrument in the gold if you talk about in these times. See, why I'm saying these are one of the best instruments, because generally when the gold instruments come in the market, what happens is you simply get the gold prices, whatever in whichever way the gold grows, you get that much return on that particular investment. These are the only products in the gold category where they are also providing you with 2.5% interest per annum, and they are having 8 years of time horizon. So what happens is you simply get 20% of absolute return at the end of 8 years, along with the hike in gold prices. So that's something biggest benefit. Secondly, if you want to withdraw your money in between, you can simply, these instruments are tradable on the stock market, so you can simply trade them, you can get your money back in between. And third thing, one of the most important thing, that if you hold this product for 8 years time horizon, then no capital gain tax will be charged from you on the same. So go for it. If you want to invest in gold, go for sovereign gold bonds, one of the best options in the gold products.
They want to ask about the bond market, and why it's in the market is following, and what should an individual do? Should an individual invest in bond market or not?
See, if you don't, first off, it's not necessary that you directly go to bond market. Simply, you can invest in debt mutual funds, because they directly invest in gold, in bonds. But the thing over here is, like we are having the tendency these days, I see that people directly invest through apps like Grow app, and there are many apps on the internet where you can simply log in and invest. Now when people see the debt mutual fund return last year, for example, let's talk about when the government was just making free flow of funds available, was just flowing the money into the economy, what happened was the interest rates and the return you were getting into the debt mutual funds were amazingly well. Your bonds were giving you an amazing return, up to 12 to 13%. And people used to think that bonds are stable, debts are a stable instrument, and there is less of risk involved in that. So people blindly invested into debts and bonds last year. But what happened this year is, because there is always interest risk in the market going on in the debt instrument, they are never, they don't assure you the guaranteed return. Yes, they are stable, but still there is risk associated to them. So before going to those instruments as well, understand the risk, the credit rate risk, the interest rate risk. Once you understand this, then think of for what instrument you want to, for what time horizon you want to invest your money, and then decide the suitable debt instrument. The GILT funds are the most riskiest product in the debt category. So what category you are choosing, your whole rate of return and everything would be depend on that particular thing. So be very careful while investing in debt funds. Yes, for stable returns you can use them, but understand the risk associated to it.
Okay. So next few questions are about the courses CFA and FRM. So guys, I am a CFA. I already cleared my CFA level 1, and I also posted a video of if you should do CFA. So CFA and FRM are both finance related courses. CFA is an overall course that would function on fundamental analysis, cover a part of technical analysis, and give you an overall knowledge of everything like portfolio management, and everything is there. And if we talk about FRM is basically linked to risk management. Financial risk management is the course name. So it's kind of a specialization in risk, which needs a whole different part of knowledge, because risk is a big field. And so it's a specialization. I think you guys can go for both courses. And FRM you can do just after 12th. CFA you have to complete your graduation or gain at least 3 years of experience to start CFA. And you asked that if we should go for tuitions. So like it totally depends on you and your or existing background. If you have some knowledge about the markets, or you have some functioning in the markets, you can directly go for the course. You if you study the material is comprehensive and very explanative itself. So you can directly go for the course, or otherwise if you are a newbie and need a bit more detailed explanation, so you can go for tuitions as well. Next question, Deepti, is people are diversifying from equity and going for bonds due to increasing return in bond instruments. What do you have to say about that?
See, again, I mentioned this thing into my previous question that bonds, if you think they are safe and they are completely safe and they provide you with returns, you are mistaken, guys. Don't just believe in last 1 year return. See the past 5 to 10 years of the returns when you invest in debt. And simply, if you, for example, if you are going in debt mutual fund category, you can always check your yield to maturity. What is the expected return you can get in next 3 to 4 or 5 years? Every mutual fund presents that particular thing. So first, see that thing, that in present scenario and in future times, what return will you go? Simply checking the historical returns won't make any sense in the debt instrument. It keeps on changing. It depends on the economy, it depends on the government things. So first, understand different risks, like I said, interest rate risk, credit rate risk. In understand these things and go, then decide what you have to do.
And one more point I would like to put across, that is that a bond market would always have comparatively lesser returns than equity market, because the risk in the equity market
Yes.
is high and the return would be higher. That is in the same way. And the last 1 year returns is very like out of situation to discuss, because if we
Yes.
see last 1 year market has been very fluctuating. It has been growing like going up continuously beyond anyone's expectations. So this is like a bull run right now. It might be a bit like illusional for us to continuously go on and assuming that this bull run would continue indefinitely. No, that is not going to happen. There would be lower like downfalls also in the market. So that is what we have to like keep in mind, because this bull run is not going to, like, if you just focus on this bull run, it won't be helpful for you. It would be a very delusional state for you.
Yes, we have to, keep in mind the certain time period. Look at 5 to 10 years. See the returns into different, times in the markets, and then decide. You just don't depend on 1 year return. Like, people who were just 1 or 2 years ago, what happened in Franklin Mutual Fund, if you guys are aware, in the ultra short funds, and six of their debt funds were simply closed, and people were investing so much amount into those funds. Reason being that they were delivering higher returns as compared to all the category average. So people thought, yes, this is the right thing. But then if you understand their portfolio, and if you would have seen their portfolio, you would have understood, no, they are investing your money into so much risky instrument, and that's where many of the investors just lost their money. Actually not lost, but when they need it, they are unable to take out their money as of now, because their money is stuck in some places where as of now they cannot withdraw the fund. So you have to keep these even circumstances in mind before you go simply blindly you go for these investments.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question now. Any views on cryptocurrency, investing in cryptocurrency, Deepti?
See, as government has already said what they wanted to say on this stuff, so on the open platform, cannot give you suggestion on this particular stuff that government has already denied investing for. So on this platform, I will simply say no, and I not discuss much about this over here.
And same
That's all.
Rakesh Jhunjhunwala said because that I won't ever invest in cryptocurrency. So maybe I think we should. He must be having some logic behind that. He said that if you, I also read a post which said that if you have money as much as Elon Musk have, you can go for it. Otherwise, and the risk appetite he has. So that is totally
But
there.
still, Sejal, I feel that we cannot just because one big person is saying yes and another big person is saying no, we cannot just decide that we want to invest in Bitcoin or not. See, there are many pros and many cons related associated with this product. And although we are not discussing this thing on this platform as of now, but yes, you need to understand why most of the people, and if the government is taking this step, what is the major reason behind it. So if you want, I can discuss it personally on WhatsApp, but not over here.
Ma'am, I'm the same person who asked about cryptocurrency. But ma'am, don't you think that like my friends are currently investing in cryptocurrency and they are earning a very good margin in it? Like they are earning like 10% of what they are investing per month. And I mean, I think that's going to be a future of investing, because as we compare to other things, and we can't stop cryptocurrency. So like, can you just like suggest some points on it, like if we should consider it or not? Because
Okay.
the government and the other institutions are, according to me, are denying investing in cryptocurrency because they can't control it.
No, it's not regulated.
Yeah, because whether we accept it or not, the profits which we are earning are very less than we would have, because the rest of it are actually earned by the banking institutions and the government and all the intermediaries. So what are your views on it?
See, simply saying one thing, because which I feel that one should not go for cryptocurrency is, see, I know we are interested in making more and more money, and if an instrument is providing us with good returns and amazing returns like Bitcoin is as of now, so we think like, yes, I want to invest in money. But see, most of us have watched Jannat movie. What the thing is, we are investing money, that's good, we are getting good returns, that is amazing, but where our money is being invested, us money paise ka ho kya raha hai, we are not aware of that thing. Many people say, see, I am not having much of the in-depth knowledge of the same, but yes, I understand that many people are of the opinion that this money is being used for terror funding and many other things. And yes, there is no regulator of this. So even if you, let's say you are earning an amazing return as of now, okay, but then tomorrow if something happens, tomorrow if a fraud happens, whatever happens, you won't be able to go anywhere, you won't be able to ask anyone what to do, how to get that money, because there is no regulator over there. So how can you trust any such investment? How can you keep so much of money? Because if you earn once and twice, you will be investing more and more into that thing, and this would go on till the time, I don't know what will happen in the future, but there is a high probability that maybe you lose your money, maybe if something happens, you won't get your money back ever again. So that is in my point. So until and unless we understand that where that money is being invested, how they are creating the money, and who is the regulator, who is regulating what is this thing going on, until we understand it, it's just like what I say in simple terms कि हाँ वो schemes आती है ना, पैसे को डबल करो 1 महीने में 2 महीने में, we never know कब तक ये चलेगा and when it would burst out. That's all. Yes, when it will be
exactly like
continue, Sejal.
Exactly. And one more thing I would like to add, that cryptocurrency is like a very risky and very unpredictable instrument, if I'll say, because you might have seen that it rose to so high levels in recent times and then fell that, like that only. So so the risk is so high. Additionally, it's illegal. So a part of it is illegal. So that rises the risk to another level. So like I don't know if we should really in greed of so income from that, we should risk our money there. Like there are, if good returns are available in our own market, why should we go for cryptocurrency? And if you want to go in US markets, there are instruments for US markets, international markets. So if we can go for safer legal options, so why to go for something that everyone is saying no for? So
It's
that
usually
is
fun.
one point of view that I have.
I mean, like people are saying like we shouldn't invest in cryptocurrency because it's not regulated and everything. Yet everyone is under the table. Everyone is investing in cryptocurrency at some level. But that totally depends on their risk appetite. If they are ready to lose that much amount, that's a gamble we are doing if we're investing in cryptocurrency. Nothing else. So if you want, you can go ahead with it. But there is a risk that you may lose the entire amount, and there is no one to whom you can blame other than yourself for that. Okay.
And like if we invest in our share market, we know that if Indian company is listed, somewhere government will come in to protect the company if they have a huge investor. So there is no one to protect us there. So that is something you have to keep in mind.
In market, we've got SEBI for our protection and everything.
Okay, let's move on to the next question now. So Deepti, what's your view on futures and option? When should one enter an FNO, and what should be the risk reward should be, and does technical analysis reliable?
See, to be very honest, guys, I have never invested into FNO, and I am not the right person to guide you regarding the same. So I won't be saying much about. Yes, Sejal, if you are having detailed knowledge onto this subject matter, or maybe Bhavin, you can guide them, you simply guide them.
So like FNO, I have a limited knowledge about FNO, especially that the risk and reward is very high there. If you have a big risk appetite, then only you can go for it, because the amount of money you can earn is the amount of money you can lose. Even more more than the money you have put in there, you can lose there. So that is a very big thing to think about it. And FNO is mainly preferred when you have huge funds. So, and your risk appetite is very high. And about the technical analysis, yes, that is important for FNO. And basically, it might not hold that much importance in shares. Like it holds importance in shares, but technical analysis comes a lot into picture if you are investing in FNO. So you have to remember that. And without the knowledge of FNO, without the techniques and proper guidance of FNO, I won't recommend you to go in FNO.
And despite of the technical analysis and fundamental analysis, the basic nature of FNO is speculation. So there would always be a risk involved if you're going through FNO.
Definitely.
And since you don't take any kind of delivery of shares in that, you can't even opt out to hold the amount you have invested, because it will lapse on the expiry of the respective futures or options.
Okay. So let's move on to the next question. What instruments you suggest which we need to invest to balance profile for financials?
See, I already informed you like what a diversified portfolio must look like. And even for further balances, we are having balanced fund, hybrid funds, which have the combination of both equities and debt in them. So along with equities and single going through debt, you can simply invest in these balanced and hybrid funds. But remember, they will be having less return than what equity gives, and they will be having little better returns than what debt gives. So that these instruments are the combination of both, and you can choose them as well. For your medium term goals, like say 3 to 5 years, you can use this product as well.
Okay. Next question is again about the career, like CA plus CFA or CA plus MBA from IIM ABC. So I think I'll answer that question. So I'm already doing CA plus CFA, and I also want to do MBA. So I'll tell you. CFA is like an add-on to your career. What I feel is CFA is like an add-on to your career that will give you a very good knowledge. But what I feel is if you do MBA from IIM ABC, it would help you get the best job possible. You will get the campus placements, a lot many big banks and companies. It would be much easier for you to get job. And if you get CFA, I think getting the premium job that you want, the premium title of investment banker, that would be a bit difficult in compared to MBA from IIM. So that is all I can say. Although both are a very good courses, and comparatively CFA and CFA plus CA would be a cheaper option than going for MBA. So you can choose on that as well. When is the time to redeem mutual funds, Deepti?
Again, this depends on person to person. It's a very subjective question. There is, when you achieve your goal or when you are near to your goal, at that is the best time. You cannot just like stocks. If you have made the profit, you withdraw the money. If you are having the losses, you just stop right now, or you take out the money in losses. Mutual fund is not a trading game. It is an investment thing, and it needs to be. You have to be patient with that particular thing. When markets are falling, you have to be patient with. Yes, if you are invested in the good scheme, you know that once the markets will be up again, you will be getting better returns again. And see, when the person is near to the goal, for example, you have invested for mutual fund, let's say for 10 years, and at the end of 8th year and 9th year, you have to track your investments. If market are performing amazingly well, at that time, what you can simply do is you can shift your equity portion you can take out the money, either redeem it, or you can keep that money, shift from equity to debt funds. What will happen in that way is that at the time of when your goal is there, if the market even crashes, if the market falls down, then also you will have the good valuation at your hands, and you can simply use that money. So near your goal, obviously check your valuations 1 or 2 years prior to your goals. Check if the markets are amazingly well, just withdraw. If markets are fallen at that time, then wait for the right time, because in 1 or 2 years, market will give you the opportunity, withdraw your money at that time, keep into safe return instrument. That's all. But then accept that there is no right time of redeeming mutual fund, that if you have got a good gain on that, you will redeem. No, that won't make sense.
Next question is, can you please suggest a good career option in the field of finance that you believe that would grow the most?
See, according to me, one of the best option, if you are good in studies, if you are good in maths, I guess is CFA. Nothing better than CFA in finance industry. I have seen, like, all the mutual fund managers, everyone, that person is highest respected job in the field of finance is CFA. This is what I feel.
I would like to add on this question. Like, if you are asking me about the career in finance, I would say that many people are going into investment banking these days. Investment banking is a very good paid job. But some part of finance that is being ignored by people is financial planning and analysis, that part. I don't know. I feel that part is undervalued in the current times, and people should really go forward and look for the part, because in no firm, no company is going without planning and analysis. So that part, I would people would see to that part and maybe have a career in there, because the growth there is phenomenal. Like, you can go to the CFO level. CFO is responsible for the planning and analysis, but I don't know why it is a bit underrated. So you can go with for that also. And basic knowledge of stock market is necessary for all. So another point that is key, you have to keep the literacy about the all fields, but specialization in one particular field is necessary. Okay. Next question, Deepti, is from Priya. Ma'am, I want to be a financial planner. So how to start?
See, Either if you are not having any much knowledge as of now into this field, you can simply opt for certified financial planner. Along with that, you can take a job into either some mutual fund company or any company related to, dealing either with financial planning. There are many company these days, many startups starting with financial planning as their core, work. So you can work over there for the experience, for the knowledge, you can do CFP. Or except that, what you can do is there are many options available on Google. There are many NISM certificates and all, where you can get little knowledge, and you can slowly and gradually grow your knowledge, then get the certification, and then you can start the same thing.
Question, like, what are your views on index funds from Anvesh?
Okay. Even index funds are good funds if you don't want to, simply index fund is something that replicate the index as it is. So instead, if you want to, invest in the companies where the Sensex and the Nifty are investing, simply you can choose index fund rather than buying individual stocks for the same. So go for this. They are passively managed. They are not actively managed. Remember this thing. Therefore, many times what happens is that actively managed fund deliver you better returns than the index fund. But yes, if you want to start with basics and you want to invest in every company that comes, for example, let's say in the Nifty, then you can go for that particular index fund, and that would give you average return approximately same as the Nifty gave you.
What do you think about investing in US stocks?
Okay. For this, we are having few mutual funds that is invest in US markets, and they give you the exposure of best companies over there. So you can simply go with those mutual funds, and they are not different from any other. You can simply start investing with 1,000 or 2,000 rupees per month SIP, and you can have exposure of them as well.
So I'll quickly wrap up the session for now, as we have already crossed the 1 hour limit.
Yes.
So thank you everyone for an amazing session. You were an amazing audience. Thank you, Deepti, for giving us your insightful knowledge. Thank you everyone for making it mind challenging and really nice for all of us. Hope to see you all next time with much more exciting content for you all. If you have any more queries, you can post it on WhatsApp group, and we'll make sure that we reply that. Stay tuned, stay connected, and we'll hope to bring a lot more exciting content for you all. Thank you all for joining. See you. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.